Welcome to the Alive Loren Podcast and the place of celebrating juicy, whole, soulful living and mastery of embracing of all. Really, it's not about just one-sidedness. It's about, I'm finding, it's really about letting go of more and more preference and just opening wide to welcoming all the experiences, even the uncomfortable, painful, like just for the absolute magic it is to experience. Even the stuff that's difficult and hard and unexpected and on a very minor note, not a majorly like devastating anything, but I'd mentioned the other day about when something is annoying or frustrating, playing with actually being grateful for the opportunity to get frustrated or annoyed by it. So I'll give you an example. So today, I'm trying to work on making sure in the morning that if the sun is out, just to try get a little bit of time in the early morning, stretching, a bit of movement outdoors in the sun, because it's not always sunny, but just to take advantage when it is, and before the workday starts. And today, it's usually like pretty quiet, and it is. So my preference is that when I go, that it's my quiet time and I'll be able to hear the birds, and it's in an area that's more pedestrian orientated. So there's grass and trees and there's no traffic. And today, there's a guy from the municipality with one of those leaf blower machines. You know that thing where they literally are wearing those like earmuffs to protect their ears, and it is so loud, like blowing the leaves all over the place. And it didn't really matter where I went because it's a small park area. And initially, like I just laughed at myself because I noticed the frustration. And then I'm so glad I remembered from yesterday because I was like, aren't it amazing that you can actually hear this frustrating noise? You actually have the ability to process sound, so you can be annoyed by the sound. And it really was such a delicious reframe, where all of a sudden now, the sound, instead of my preference of the peace and quiet, it was like, oh my God, what a gift that you've got, the ability to hear the sound. Doesn't matter whether you find it annoying or not. It's absolutely phenomenal that you can hear it. So yeah, that was really good. That was really good. So yesterday I mentioned when I started in the chapter of Let My People Go Surfing from Patagonia founder, there was a beautiful quote on mastering the art of living. And I didn't have the book with me yesterday, but it's so beautiful that I do want to read the words. So it's L.P. Jacks. And he says, a master in the art of living draws no sharp distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his education and his recreation. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence through whatever he is doing, and leaves others to determine whether he is working or playing. To himself, he always appears to be doing both. I just thought it was beautifully written, so I wanted to honor that. And I did definitely have some delicious inspirations today as well from my morning read. And the one here was just so beautiful because they're talking about the sort of culture that they create, because initially it was people that were into like building and the environment and possibly kind of not the regular ambitious sort of acquisition goal orientated career building individuals. But it said here that not everybody wants to change the world, but we want the company to feel like home for those who do. Oh, so that was like my favorite line from this morning. And then the other thing, so wow, this was a big wow. The theme of the power of staying calm came up today. Because if one can, and it's not even about what also so beautiful was, it wasn't about having this crazy, mad, ambitious goal to stay calm. Because that's absolutely ridiculous to stay calm no matter what in every situation. But it was about, what if the goal is to notice when we're starting to get upset, and then have tools to help bring us back to a state of calm. Because that's more what's going to happen. So crazy. It's like if you think about, if you navigate and you set a destination and you're using a navigation tool, it's not about necessarily going on like the perfect path, because things could change. There could be detours on the way. It's about being open. It's about changes, noticing when you're off track so you get back on track. It's not about like a perfection of A to B. It was so profound, because it was also this idea that is so foundational, is this ability to stay calm. Because, and this is around parenting, but it just also reminded me, Chris Voss was a hostage negotiator. And after years of working with the FBI in that field, he now does communication and stuff and focuses a lot on business. But I just find that his tools and techniques and empathetic listening is also so profound in terms of human interactions. But here as well, so he was saying that in a hostage negotiation, you have to be able to build rapport, trust very quickly. Because if someone doesn't feel that they can trust you and they like you and there's a rapport, you're absolutely getting nowhere. So this really needing to understand and connect to somebody else, even if you're never going to give in to the demands, even if you think they're being outrageous and ludicrous, for that other person to feel genuinely that you're connecting to them. And all these themes are coming up again with Laura Markham in terms of parenting. And oh my God, it's just about dealing with ourselves, dealing with life, how foundational staying calm is, because that has the power to influence others in the dynamic. Because gearing into shouting and losing it and that with the other person means everyone is lost. But if one person can stay calm, it sets up, it just also reminds me of that resonance, when they have those tuning forks. It's like if one person can resonate on calm, then even if someone else has lost it, that resonance on some level they're picking up on that. And that just was incredible, that to stay calm means that there's a greater possibility of being respectful and treating others responsibly, being personally responsible. And then if you start with calm, so that is like your ground zero. And then your first foundation on top of that is connection and understanding. For the other person, whether it's a child, an adult, to feel a connection and that they feel understood. And I was like, oh my God. This is like in every single situation, because if you feel connected and understood, then you feel safe. And it just opens the doorways to so much more collaboration, cooperation, coming up with solution, problem solving, creativity, all of it. Wow. Because it was just this idea and this conversation I was having with a friend as well around with this hostage negotiation, that even these tools of hostage negotiation, which are very similar here, it's things are just coming up for me here around staying calm, connecting, understanding the other person. And all of these then have massive potential to influence the situation. And how many of us aren't being held hostage by our own thoughts and inner dialogue and inner part of us that's maybe not the most constructive in its the way of thinking. But the thing is that it's like if you think of the hostage negotiation, you can't come out with massive judgment and threat. And you're going to get nowhere, because that's all the other person is using. You have to come in with calm, with connection, with understanding, and that even dealing with that with ourselves, with the parts of us that are irrational, and create oh my God, meaningless suffering out of nothing and all of that, but to actually just calmly breathe and relax. And I come back to Mickey. Breathe and relax. Breathe and relax in the face of the chaos and craziness, and to actually just connect. Oh, so this is coming like full picture, and I just love this so much because it's like when you try to force and control, there's this natural instinct to want to rebel against it. Whereas calm, understanding, and connection are like these incredible gateways to influence. So that was quite an inspiring morning this morning. It cycled through and just landed up threading and connecting so many other things. So on this glorious note, here is to realistic expectations, not about staying calm all the time, but identifying when we're not and looking for the tools and techniques that can help bring us back, and just realizing, wow, that power. Oh my God, I'm looking at this is so crazy. I have had so many headsets in the recent time have things go wrong with them. This is just very interesting. It's a means of private connection and communication. Anyway, I shall just ponder on that. But happy adventuring and really just exploring and playing with this idea of the power of remaining calm to actually empoweringly influence a situation. That there's way more power in calm ground zero than connection and understanding to actually influence a situation than coming in with force and demand and a very strong personal point of view. So happy chewing and exploring and adventuring, precious heart, until we meet again.